Hi everyone, thanks very much for joining us today. My name is Wayne Madden, I'm from nCipher Security, and I have my colleague with me today, Govind Yadav from AppViewX. We have a short presentation for you on our joint integration to do with X.509 certificate and Keep Lifecycle automation. In short, the problem that we see today is that managing large numbers of certificates for multiple applications is time intensive. There's far too many certificates to keep track of. It leaves a lot of room for human error. Administrators already have too many complicated technologies to manage and not enough time. And fixing problems after identified is no longer a good enough solution for sensitive information systems. For example, outdated and insecure TLS certificates are a common exploit, and it's hard to apply policy to certificate types or contents. Some statistics to put this into frame for you. The Gartner report on strategic IoT technologies and trends estimated that 25 billion connected things will be deployed by 2021. An independent report from the Ponemon Institute has estimated that 42% of deployed things will use digital certificates by the end of 2021. I'll leave you to do the math yourself, but that's quite a few devices and certificates to worry about. I'll pass over now to Govind to tell you some more.
Thanks, Wayne. Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to the session today. My name is Govind. I represent AppViewX. I'm part of the sales engineering team based out of the UK office. Well, there's no such thing like an office these days, isn't it? Anyways, for those of you who do not know AppViewX already, in a nutshell, we are a provider of certificate management, security, and network automation solutions. We'll see in a bit in the next slide what does this exactly mean. We have presence in 7 locations, headquartered out of New York. We are 300 plus people team and growing very fast. We have several awards and Gartner papers written about us. And to talk about what AppViewX does, this is the most important slide from my part of the session today. So talking about the certificate lifecycle management, which is the focus area today, we do these 2 bits over here. So on the right-hand side, you see the technology partners. There's a section which says CA, and then we have SSL certificates. So what we do basically is we integrate with different certifying authorities, publicly trusted and CS software vendors. And then, of course, we issue certificates to your endpoints. These certificates could be SSL certificates. These could be end-user certificates and could be deployed to networking devices, servers, laptops, desktops, mobile phones, and even IoT, as Wayne was talking about. That's a very crucial, important requirement. Let's take one device, for example. F5 is a load balancer. So we can automate the certificates, push them down, bind to the device, renew the certificates, regenerate, and all of that can be completely automated. But what if you would want to manage the F5 device itself? You want to automate the device management. We can do that. So things like launch a new application. It could be something like backups, restorations, pushing new configuration or a new rule. That is automating the entire device as such. So we go a few steps beyond certificate lifecycle management. What if you want to orchestrate an application launch on an F5 between F5 and your firewall, port configurations, DevOps, SecOps approvals on your DDI? You may have certain DNS configurations. So we cut across different technologies and we orchestrate all of that. That is what we do in totality. There are certain platforms on the left-hand side that you see, Puppet, Terraform, Ansible, with which we integrate, and we can coexist in that way. Coming back to the wonderful world of digital certificates, PKI, what is the focus today? We have an important technology partnership with nCipher, who is a leading provider of HSMs. Wayne obviously will talk more about that later in the session, what are HSMs and why they're important. Moving forward, let's talk about what is certificate lifecycle management. Most of you would already know what a certificate lifecycle is all about, but just in case someone is not very sure. So what we do is we first discover the certificates in your entire ecosystem. It could be servers, laptops, desktops, all of that in your on-prem network. It could be in hybrid cloud or completely fully cloud endpoints like Azure, Amazon, and even private cloud. We'd help you discover the certificates so you have visibility of what is out there. It's one of the most common problems we see. Customers don't know what do they have in their entire network, what kind of certificates they have. Then, when the certificates are discovered and you have an inventory, we help you manage those certificates. So you could create a new certificate on an endpoint that could be automated. You can renew. You can even regenerate key pairs on an endpoint. You could revoke, do all sorts of consolidation by having logical groups, using policies. All of that is available out of the box. You can even have alerts for certificates which are about to expire. You can manage or monitor the certificates. That's totally up to you. And we provide you out-of-the-box dashboard reports. You can customize these reports as well. We help you design the solution. It's not just that we would have a product, we drop it, and then we move away. We help you design with our technology partner integration, be it the HSMs from nCipher, be it your ITSM tools, CA integrations. A lot of customers have multi-CA environment. We help integrate with all of that. ITSM tools, log forwarding with SIM solutions, and all of that. And then, of course, once this is all done, the solution is live, it automates all of that. Happy days. So that is what CLM is in short. Features about the product. AppViewX is a platform, and as we were talking about earlier, has two modules to it, CERT Plus and has Automation Plus. The platform gives you both the capabilities. Talking specifically about the certificate part of it, which is called CERT Plus, we help you discover the certificates, which gives you the visibility. We help you automate the lifecycle, which we just saw in the last slide. We are vendor agnostic, which means we integrate with various different vendors in a specific technology area. Let's say CAs, we integrate with multiple publicly trusted CAs and even CA softwares. On the ITSM side, we integrate with most of the mainstream ticketing tools and so on. The solution provides you the capability not just with regards to X.509 certificates. We can help manage the SSH keys and the certificates as well. You get self-service portals, so end users, certificate owners, admins can log in and request their own certificate, and that will kickstart the approval process if there is one. And then the solution itself gives you a very robust role-based access control. So you can assign rights to users, you can onboard users, create user groups, allocate roles, which are very granular. And of course, you can define resources and who has access to what. I spent a couple of years before I moved to AppViewX into identity governance space. And I know how important it is to have strong role-based access control from compliance and audit perspective. So that is definitely a very good add-on with this product. USPs and market differentiators. The fundamental reason why customers prefer to have PKI deployed is because they are focused and they are concerned about security. And one good thing about this product is that it is Linux-based platform. So you have one less thing to focus is to secure the non-Linux-based platforms. And hence, we decided to go ahead with Linux-based approach. It's a plug-and-play integration. It supports various different connectors out of the box. Should there be a device or an application which is, let's say, bespoke, we can provide these integrations pretty much in a plug-and-play mode. The reason being that it's a microservices-based architecture, so we don't have to go through a major code release when we are integrating and providing new connectors or APIs. You can deploy the solution easily and then manage and maintain it. There are features which helps you lower down your infrastructure maintenance costs. One example being the solution comes with an inbuilt bundled MongoDB, so you don't need to manage an external database. There are cost concerns and, of course, management as well. You don't have to manage another license or schemas because it's all bundled into the product. Simple and transparent licensing is just one licensing metric, really. based on the number of certificates you manage. You could have 1 million certificates in your environment, but if you only want to manage 1,000 certificates, that's what the licensing is all about. There are no hidden charges whatsoever. Roadmap prioritization, we work with our customers. After the solution has deployed, we work with you to figure out what are your requirements, your needs, and hence our roadmap is centric around that. Visual and intuitive, the solution is completely configurable. There's no need to write a code. Very strong dynamic workflows are available, which makes the solution very easy to manage. Moving on to what the users say about the solution. What is it they like about the product? It's easy to use. The solution provides you with a low-code automation capability. So there is a code, obviously, but then you don't have to hire talented programmers to be able to customize or change a workflow, let's say. It is all available through GUI. You can provide, for example, if you want to change an API call to ServiceNow, it's all basically name and key value pairs. You input that, click on save, the workflow changes straight then and there. It's real-time, context-aware. You can manage, create workflows. A lot of the workflows are available out of the box when the solution is shipped, and of course, you can customize and use them. So in the interest of the time, we could not run a demo today, but I tried to capture a couple of screenshots which will help you understand what the solution looks like. So on the top right, you see the inventory after the discovery is done. This is what the inventory looks like. You have certificate details, common name, and other criteria that you can pull the certificate details. It can categorize certificates based on server, client, device, code signing, so on. And the left-hand side, you see there are groups. You can create different groups, allocate certificates, and users can manage that. We also have very helpful management dashboards. As you can see, there are several reports that are available. You can see a couple of them over here. It could be based on the CA, which particular CA issued a certificate, or when the certificates are about to expire. You get a very complete visibility, and hence it makes your planning easy, effective. It's fully customizable. It's Linux-based, as we discussed earlier, and it's all GUI-based configuration, so you don't really have to write code. It is all configuration-based reports, customizing reports, adding new hooks, workflows, all of that. It automates the entire certificate lifecycle, so you have a complete hands-off approach right from the time you decide what policy, what certificate needs to be pushed onto what endpoint, when to renew, regenerate, and then push it down to the device and even bind. All of that is completely automated. So that brings in the real value from a CLM perspective. This is the last slide for my session. This talks about the day-to-day tasks that you would require from a CLM perspective. So there are different ways one can interact and log in with the solution. On the left-hand side, you have, for example, ServiceNow, an ITSM tool. You can create tickets, approve at ITSM, and then corresponding tasks are executed right at AppViewX. It could be a certificate renewal, new issuance, or whatever. It's all taken care. Then you can have administrators and self-service users, certificate owners, and other admins who can log in, put up a request, and you can have all the requests and approvals done at AppViewX. Then, when the requests are actually processed, what actually happens on the endpoints, it could be a CLM, a certificate lifecycle management flow, that will be applied on cloud endpoints. It could be AWS, could be Azure, or could be a private cloud as well. We could speak to different CAs, certificate authorities, publicly trusted or CA softwares, and then figure out what are the certificate needs. We can then do a CLM on endpoints, push those certificates and bind to the certificate store on all your device types, servers, laptops, desktops, mobile devices, and even IoT. Very recently, we deployed the solution AppViewX CERT Plus for a very, very large IoT customer who is into healthcare. So they have glucose monitoring devices that you put on your arm. They read glucose level in real time, send this information to a receiving station, which is deployed at the patient's or the consumer's end. And then from there, they push that information to a mobile phone app or to the health service providers. They plan to scale up about 100 million devices by the next year. This correlates to what Wayne was talking about earlier, that about 42% of those many billion devices will have PKI digital certificates. You could do CLM on enterprise infrastructure, all your servers, load balancers, networking devices, and different servers as well. We can talk to ITSM tools, understand the tickets, the approvals over there, and execute those tasks in AppViewX, or it's a two-way communication as well. You could generate the certificates, all the approvals here in AppViewX, and then we can simply create corresponding tickets in your ITSM tool so you can track them later on for your audit purposes. We integrate with CMDB and ITAM tools out of the box, and if need be, we can help you deploy the solution in a multi-data center environment, in a multi-node environment, and help you manage the logs with our integration with some SIM tools and with log forwarding capabilities. So that was a quick introduction of what AppViewX CERT Plus does. I will now hand over to my colleague Wayne, who will talk you through what are HSMs and why they are needed and the role they play in the CLM. Wayne, over to you, sir.
Thanks very much, Govind, for that great overview. And for those of you joining us today, if you do have any questions about any content that Govind has gone over or that I will, do use the feature on BrightTalk, and we'll endeavour to get back to you. Just a quick introduction for nCipher Security, for those of you that don't know who we are already. nCipher recently joined the Entrust Data Card family last year. We're a worldwide company with a wealth of years of experience in security, in threat protection, and compliance in security. We're industry leaders in applied cryptography and a market leader in hardware security. We provide solutions and expertise for our customers based on cloud deployments, Internet of Things device security, as we've been discussing so far, blockchain consensus and wallet protection, financial transaction signing, personally identifiable information protection for financial purposes, among others, and many more types of applications and certificate hardware security use cases. We also have a strong presence in the marketplace, you can see there. So what is a hardware security module? A hardware security module is a tamper-resistant device that holds and manages keys for applications that use cryptography, mainly for signing and encryption keys. They operate independently of applications, and they typically attach to the network to keep watch over the keys used by applications and perform cryptographic operations on behalf of those applications. Critical keys are isolated from the host environment and are always protected inside the device. In this way, the protection domain is segregated from the rest of the system. They implement and enforce defined security policies, and access to the security domain is enforced with dual security controls that require mutual supervision, so no single individual can change key use policies. Typically, HSMs, and certainly our HSM, is certified to the Federal Information Processing Standard, that's FIPS, and often Common Criteria, in the case of our product, that's EAL4+. And they are two of the most recognized global standards for cryptographic robustness. HSMs normally integrate with applications to operationalize trust and ensure that security can be delivered automatically and at scale. So the value of introducing an nCipher hardware security module to AppViewX CERT Plus platform that Govind has described to you, it allows you to very easily and securely create hardware-protected private keys for business services and devices while maintaining the visibility that the CERT Plus product gives you. It provides visibility of threats early, as well as still having that strong certificate protection. A couple of the use cases, just to reiterate them again, for credentialing, so the sort of purposes you would use a solution like this would be for identifying and authenticating devices and applications, so for passports, national license cards, e-signatures, serial number creation and issuance, for data protection through safeguarding confidentiality and integrity of the data, or for even code signing, so to validate the integrity of your downloaded firmware or software deployed from a provider to be deployed to a product that you have in the field already. Importantly, it guarantees and provides that trusted route to your PKI, so to the private keys of your certificate authorities, and for Internet of Things deployments as well, really providing the security for that type of deployment. I've already described some of the compliances, in particular FIPS and Common Criteria. Also, depending on where you are, for payments-related space, we work towards the PII that I described already, or in, if you're in the US, then HIPAA for medical purposes. We allow you to very strongly tie and enforce customer-defined policy to key access and use to actually enforce that policy. And some of the benefits that the HSM provide that are still prevalent in this solution is easy to deploy, to integrate, to scale, and administrate your HSM farm and the service that's provided through CERT+. As well as from nCipher, you get excellent support and professional services available to do what you want. And beyond what we've discussed as well so far, many other applications, use cases are available with strong cryptographic separation. Do ask as well if you want to discuss further about our HSMs, which can be deployed in the cloud without nShield as a service offering. Just to give you a bit of an idea, for those of you that have seen HSMs before, this might be a little familiar. The diagram on the left, you can see that the administrators will have an interface to all of the services in your business, as well as an interface to the HSM. And then the business services will also interface with the HSM. It gets a bit complicated. It has perhaps a slightly higher attack surface and leaves a little bit more chance for operator error. One of the wonderful advantages of using the CERT+ product is it manages interactions with all of your services, as Govind has described so far, and your administrators still work with the HSMs, but there's no need to have so many direct connections. So it's really reducing that attack surface and removing the chance for operator error. Your operational keys are secured by your applications, but your applications are secured by common security platforms, now HSMs. So through this, you're still providing a protected root of trust. CERT+ really makes things easy to manage. It gathers all of your tools using certificates into a single, easy interface, which still provides excellent security. It's quite necessary for systems with a growing demand for certificate identities in the IoT world. It's always a bit of a trade-off, as I'm sure you're all aware, between efficiency, operations, and versus security, which this provides an excellent solution towards. Some screenshots from the AppViewX CERT+ tool and how straightforward it is to integrate. So you can see the screen on the left is a simple user interface to add a new HSM to your systems, quite straightforward, and then the screen on the right to create a new certificate once the HSM is enabled in the client. There's very little detail needed at that point. It's quite straightforward and low time intensive. So in short, our integrated solution provides a single pane of glass for managing, automating, and protecting your X.509 certificates and their keys. Our partnership with AppViewX delivers enterprises with multiple options that cater to the specific needs of your infrastructure, providing very strong management and automation of multiple vendor X.509 certificates across multiple devices, giving you excellent visibility and control across all of your certificates and all keys in your network, providing that strong enforcement of policies and ensuring compliance across your network and all aspects of it. And of course, always delivering secure encrypted communications faster by reducing certificate deployment time by as much as 70% in our experience. So just to summarize, our strong integration provides you with excellent management. It's an excellent management tool to have in your arsenal and gives an excellent balance of operational security and efficient certificate deployment. So just a couple of questions, Govind, that I have for you, if I may.
Sure, please.
One question I'd ask of you is, for the CERT+ tool, what type of load will a typical certificate discovery have on the network?
Okay, good question. So when we do discovery in your network, when we scan the entire network, most of the device types, let's say 99% of the device types, we can do that remotely in a clientless way. And most of the time we use SSH for all the devices. And of course, for Windows world, we use WMI and PowerShell protocols. So think about that. In terms of workload, we just log into the device, minimal load, and then what we do is at max, we pull out a certificate. A certificate typically is 1 kilobyte in size. So if we are doing a discovery and pull a certificate, is 1 kilobyte kind of load you would have on your network multiplied by, let's say, 1,000 certificates if you have in your environment. You're looking at almost 1 MB kind of a load, and that's just one time. So if that certificate is scanned repeatedly, we don't pull those certificates again and again. It is already in the inventory. So the load is minimal, and to further reduce that, what we can do is we can give you certain scan methods and modes. For example, passive scanning, where you don't scan these IPs and port combinations again and again. You can keep it limited that way.
Brilliant. Okay. And as well, can you tell me, is CERT Plus a client-based or a clientless solution?
It is clientless. Again, almost 99% of the use cases we can cater in a completely clientless manner. There are certain very bespoke requirements. Customers who have air-gapped environments or who may not use Microsoft CA but will use a different CA, for example, and they need the certificates day one. For those bespoke requirements, we do have ESD clients, but most of the use cases can be catered in a completely clientless way.
Okay. So adding on to that, then, does your product support mobile devices via MDMs?
Yes, indeed, we do. We do have out-of-the-box integration with a couple of MDM providers. And on top of that, we have integration or we have support for protocols, auto-enroll protocols like ACME and SCEP, and hence we can support additional MDMs if there's a need.
Fantastic. And also, just last question, I think you touched on earlier, but how does your product offer customizable workflows, if I may ask?
Sure, good question. So the solution is shipped with a lot of out-of-the-box workflows, which can cater most of your requirements. If there is a need to customize a workflow, it is all GUI-based configurations that are available. You can just point and click, change the values, and your workflows are updated straight. You don't, again, there is a code available which you can change, but you don't need to do that. It's all available through GUI-based configurations, and that makes customization of these workflows really, really easy.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Let me have a look if there are questions for yourself, Wayne. Give me a quick second. Let me pull out. We do have a couple of questions, actually. The very first one is, can this joint solution offering be deployed in a public cloud?
Great question. Thanks, Govind. So the answer is yes. So it's a question we get quite often because obviously our HSMs and nCipher, they're a physical product, not so easily deployable in public cloud spaces. So we've recently launched an offering we call nShield as a service, or nSaaS, which we can provide HSM for you from a data center, either in the UK or the US, with some further development coming in the future, to allow you to consume HSM services to your own applications that you build in public cloud type space. So this solution, I'll provide a link for the solution brief for content for those of you viewing to download. But this comes with either a fully managed or a self-managed option, so that you still have full control.
Brilliant. Perfect. The next one, how many keys or applications can be supported by this solution?
Sure, great question. So again, in particular to the nCipher portion of the solution, there's actually no upper limit to the number of keys or applications we can support. We use a unique security world architecture, which I'm happy to discuss further with you if you want to get in touch, that allows a very large number of keys, really no upper limit, only based on your own storage architecture to be stored, and likewise for applications. And one of the fantastic things about our joint integration is that the AppViewX product makes it really easy to manage large numbers of keys as well. So no longer is it very high intensity to manage millions of keys, because the AppViewX tool makes it quite straightforward to interact with them and recognize where they all are spaced as well.
Perfect. Sounds good. So that is, I think, all we had for now. And if there are any additional questions, we can obviously take them up later on offline. And we end the session here today. I think it was very fruitful for all of us to get together and discuss these different topics around certificate lifecycle management. And thank you all for giving time to us today, and hope to speak to you soon going forward. Thanks.